The Baking Club with Marion. Woo! Okay, so here's what we're making today. Ratatouille. What's really funny is that a long time ago, I saw the movie Ratatouille and I thought, oh, wouldn't that be fun to make? But I didn't because I thought, even though the movie was animated, I thought, oh, that must be very difficult. And then all of a sudden I thought, wait a minute, I have the internet. I'll put in simple ratatouille recipe. And sure enough, it gave me a simple one. So I have one that's for slow cooker, for pressure cooker, and also for skillet on the stove. But we are going to do the pressure cooker, and the reason is because boom, it is done so quickly, or rather, once you get everything cut up, it's quick. So let me just show you what I have. I'm making, just so that you know, I know the recipe is divided so that you have the full-sized ratatouille and then you have the half-sized ratatouille. So I'm making the full-sized. We'll eat it for days after this, but that's all right. So this is the oil. It calls for 4 tablespoons. 4 tablespoons is the same thing as 1/4 cup. So I just put my oil in my 1/4 cup. It's going to have you divide it when you're when you're sauteing up your onion, and then when you add it to your pressure cooker, you're going to add some more of that. I mean, whatever you have left. Okay, so I've got my onions. It says it calls for 2 medium onions. These look really kind of big to me, but I didn't see anything that looked much smaller. But I'm going to use more just because I happen to like onion. Alright, so what else? It says tomato paste. I have the tomato paste. Sometimes I put it in, and sometimes I just haven't. But it requires 2 tablespoons, just so that you know, 1/8 of a cup is 2 tablespoons. Good. What else do we need? We need 1 pound of eggplant. Now, this one is not quite a full pound. I've gotten them bigger, and they tend to be a full pound. I happen to have bought 2 of them. I might use the second one, and I might not, because it's almost a pound, but it's less than a pound. But that's okay. So, zucchini. The zucchini, about 2 of them, 2, 3, again, depends on the size, is about that pound that they want you to have. So if you get a zucchini, you know, this long, then I guess it might be a couple of those is a pound. I actually took out my kitchen scales to see what my pound was, and then I wrote it into my recipe just to kind of check it out, see how it works. Okay, so then it wants 2 large bell peppers, but not green. I got red. Red happened to be on sale, so that's what I got. I don't use green in my ratatouille at all. But if you love green bell pepper, then I guess you could. I just like the red or the orange or the yellow better myself. Okay, what else does it say? It says 1 pound of tomatoes. So it says cored and diced. I don't core it, I just dice it right up, and I'll show you in a minute. And I found between 4 and 5 of these little Roma tomatoes is about the 1 pound that they want. It says 2 cloves of garlic, and you know, I have garlic in the fridge, but I just don't want to peel and cut them, so I happen to use the minced garlic that you buy at the store. So I'll use 4 cloves, which tends to be 1 teaspoon, I believe, for a clove. Okay, good. Now what else? Salt. I've got my salt. It says fine salt. Well, it's salt. It works for me. I'm good with it. Then it says that you can either take real basil, and you have to chop it up real fine, or as in fresh basil. Fresh basil. If you have some out in your garden or you want to buy it at the store, you can use fresh basil. I use dried basil. So that's what I have here. Let's do some chopping before anything else. I got to move my stuff out of my way so that we can see everything. The thing that I'm going to chop first are the onions, And the reason is while it is sauteing up or frying up or whatever you want to call it, it's going to soften. You're going to soften those onions, and while that's getting soft in the pan and kind of sort of caramelizing, it's got to go light golden brown kind of a thing, then in the meantime I will chop up everything else. Now more than likely, I'll show you how to cut some of this. Then I'll pause the video and finish cutting what I have while you pause your side of the video and finish cutting what you have. So let me show you the onions. I have my, because I'm chopping so much, I have my Whomping Big chef's knife, but you don't have to have the Whomping Big. Whatever actually works is best. Okay, so I want my onions cut. How I do that is I cut off one end, I cut off the other end, keeping my fingers kind of sort of back here so that they don't get into the knife. I don't need my knife and my fingers being at the same place at the same time. So there's what I do. I get the two ends off. Then what I do, this is how I do it. You can do it whatever way you want to. You could peel that off, but I found when I'm in a hurry, sometimes it's easier just to cut it like that. And then, I know I'm wasting some of the onion, but I take that whole thing off. And then that onion skin is off in one fell swoop. Okay? Now, I'm going to cut it. And what I do, again, your mom or dad may have some other technique they do. If you want to watch the shows on how to actually cut onion, you are welcome to do that too. There's no blade right here. It's just a place for me to be able to put my hand, and so I shove it through my onion by doing that, okay? Now, taking one section at a time, we want these onions diced. So that's not fine dicing. It's not teeny tiny stuff, but it's still pretty small. So what I do is I go down through it, and I'm just holding it in place, because once I'm totally done, sometimes what happens is when I go like that, the onion comes with me. So like that. So that's why I put my finger there. All right, watch out. Speaking of fingers, you're still supposed to watch out. If you don't have permission to use sharp knives, don't use them right now. If you do have permission with help, great, get the help. If you don't have permission, then I guess your mom or dad is going to be working on this. Sorry about that, mom and dad. Okay, so now that I've halved it and then done all of this cutting here, I'm going to cut this way. See that? So now these are much smaller pieces. Okay? So I just keep going through. And I get that part done. And it's making a mess all over my counter. I should have used my bigger cutting board. But that's all I need. Okay? So that one is done. That's how I do it. I'm not going to pause yet because I'm going to show you the other stuff that I do. All right? And I'll come back to that in just a minute. Next. It's a good thing I have multiple cutting boards, right? Okay. It wants to have the tomato paste. I am going to get that ready now. It wants 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. So I'm going to scoop out of this rather small can. See, tomato paste. It's not tomatoes diced. It's not tomato sauce. It's tomato paste. It kind of thickens things up as they cook. So I think I took out more than 2 tablespoons. Yep, I did. Now I have to tell you, I do not make ratatouille all the time. So what ends up happening is I end up with this can of tomato paste. I get my 2 tablespoons out, I'm going to leave the spoon in because I'll be scooping that out in a little bit. And except it's going to knock it down. Okay, so I won't leave it there. Fine, fine, fine. I'll just put it and make a mess on my counter or something. Or I could get, oh, a bowl. There we go, a bowl. All right, so I got that put away. That is ready to go. Oh, what I was telling you is there's so much more tomato paste in here, and I'm not using it for anything else. So more than likely, I will put this in the fridge, and I will forget about it, and it'll go bad, and I'll probably have to throw the rest away. But that's the way it goes sometimes when you get tomato paste. Next, what have we got? We have got tomato paste. We've got eggplant. Okay, the eggplant is like this, right? So what I do is I cut off this section. Then I slice it down the center. Now, why am I telling you this and not just showing you that? Because I already did that with this one. Okay, so I got that cut off. I sliced it down the center. Now with these flat on the board, and of course they're super dark and you can't hardly see them, can you? Oh well. So what I do with this, I know what to do. I'll get my other cutting board. Now you can see the dark on the light. Okay, so now with these puppies, I chop them, sorry, onions on that. I cut these in half because what it says in the recipe is it wants you to have them about 1 inch. Now, honestly, I am so not going to get my ruler. I'm going to guess. So I half it, and then I go about that much, that size. That one seems a little big to me, so I'm just going to chop that in half right there. I didn't cut it down the center as well as I should have. So I will go a little bit thinner with them. And that's how you do it. Then you're going to have to look and see, is that about 1 inch, or do I need to chop those in half again? You can. And I probably will, just to make them a little more bite-sized. Too bad I didn't do that to begin with, huh? All right. So there's my eggplant. Oh, till I saw the movie and looked up how to make ratatouille, I had never, ever, I mean, never had eggplant before, to my knowledge anyway. I mean, I don't remember it as a kid, that's for sure. And I never touched it as an adult because I didn't know how to deal with eggplant. And now with this ratatouille, I can't believe how much I love this this recipe. And I like eggplant. So these, like I said, I'm gonna cut them in half again because they just seemed a little too big to me. I don't know where that one came from, but it's in the wrong pile. Okay. And look at me, keep my fingers out of the way. Safety first, people. Safety first. Okay. And last little bit here. And there we go. So I will do the rest of this off screen when we pause everything. I just have to find a place to put it while I'm trying to cut everything else. What is with that? Okay, very good, very good. What's next on our list? Next on our list is zucchini, which I just had. Oh, there it is. So I cut off the front, cut off the back. Okay, goes in my pile. Goes in your garbage, goes in your compost pile, whichever. Okay, so I'm going to slice this like I did with the eggplant. I'm going to cut that down the center, watching out for my fingers. Okay, now, zucchini is obviously not as big as eggplant, so let me see if I'm good with... Yeah, that'll work. So then I just go carefully down the row and cut the zucchini as I go along. And for those of you whose parents happen to be big-time chefs, or if even you happen to be a big-time chef, try not to laugh at me too much as I do it my way, just because that's how I started doing it. I suppose a real chef can just get a good laugh out of what on earth I do. Oh, that's so funny. She needs me to teach her a few things. Probably a lot of things. But I love these recipes. They come out so good. All right, so there's my zucchini, and that's how I did it. You saw, right? And then once things are chopped up, okay, I already told you that the zucchini, you get 2 of them, right? About 2 of them for the 1 pound. Well, once I chop up my stuff, it goes right on in to my cooker. Not the onion. Not the onion. The onion is different. The onion is separate. Now I'm not done with all of my eggplants, so once I get done with that, then I'll move on. Okay, so what's the next one? Tomatoes. No, bell peppers. Okay, so here's how I do bell peppers. I take a knife. Okay, this was too big, so I broke it off. It's easy enough to break off. I make cuts down these grooves. Okay, and I'm not cutting all the way through. I'm just cutting to the stem, and then I kind of stop right there. I'll tell you what, low-tech videoing of cooking is hard, because it's really hard to turn around and show you how to do it. If I had a camera over my shoulder, you could see it easier. If I had more than 2 hands, then that would work as well. Okay, so that's what I learned, right? And then you just go like this. And for the most part, this center thing, which you're going to throw away, comes right on out. Now I still have some of this here and some of that there, and so I just pick it up and I'm done with that. There may be seeds in there, so I get rid of them. There's seeds on me, but I get rid of the seeds just like that. This is a little too much here for me. There, now it's ready to go, and except for that one seed. Okay, so once I have these pieces, I go ahead and make them into strips like that. Watching out for fingers. And then once they're in strips, I gather all the strips and I just kind of chop them. Like that. So I'm going to leave the rest of that. And was there anything else I needed to chop? Cloves. If you're going to use real cloves, then you have to take off the skin that's around the cloves and then chop them just itty bitty on your cutting board. Okay, that is it, you guys. So we've got the onion, the tomato. Oh, I didn't do tomatoes, did I? Well, dang it, shoot. All right, I'll do the tomato. I'm going to have to push the bell peppers over there. I'm going to do the tomato on this cutting board. What I do is I cut that side, I cut that side, then I chop down the center, and just like with all the other veggies that I've been doing, I make strips. Once I've made the strips, then I cut them this way. There we go. Okay, like I said, it says in the recipe to core the tomatoes. You're welcome to do that or not. I just like leaving it. Okay, so for now, go ahead and get all of your items chopped. If you need your everything, all of your chopped items can go into your pressure cooker once you get them chopped, or as you get them chopped. The onions do not put into your pressure cooker yet. Okay? All right. Go get that chopping done. All right, I brought you over to my stove. So we're gonna brown up those onions. I have my onions right here in a bowl. If you happen to have paused the video and you were so excited about all the chopping that you put your onions already into your pressure cooker, don't sweat it. It'll be fine. Okay, so I've got my oil. And I'm only using half of this. The other half actually goes into your electric pressure cooker. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now so I don't get oil all over. Alrighty, it's in there with my vegetables. Now I'm going to, I've already got my stovetop on. Need my spatula, and I'm going to spread out the oil a little bit. That is real close to the sound of dragging fingernails across a chalkboard, isn't it? Yeah, okay, let's not do that too often. So I'm going to grab my onions, dump them in. There we go. Now we're going to let those really cook up. They're going to get brown. The other thing I'm going to do with them while they're doing their thing, according to the recipe, you also spice them up with a little bit of salt. So I'm going to do that. Now in the recipe it mentions using half a teaspoon of salt. That is fine. You can put it all in here. You can put some of that salt into the pressure cooker. But I'm going to put some of it here, and I'm really not going to measure it. I can add salt and pepper afterwards if I want. So, there we go. So I got the salt in there. I have the onions going. Now ordinarily, okay, one of the things that I do, it doesn't necessarily mean I have to do it every time, but as the onions, I'll get the onions going first, and then I'll chop everything else up as quick as I can. But this time I decided I would get everything chopped up first. So now we have this cooking to happen. Oh, medium low. It says medium low. So don't get it too hot. Don't get it so hot that it starts burning the onions. You don't want that. Now, one of the things is, let's see if I can do this. Hi, everybody. We're going to just go this way. You can See my messy thing here? So one of the things we didn't do is I didn't put my garlic in, and that actually goes into my pressure cooker. So the garlic was supposed to be 4 cloves of garlic, but 4 cloves of the minced garlic is a teaspoon each. 4 teaspoons, there are 3 teaspoons to 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to make a little over 1 tablespoon. So I have my tablespoon here. And I'm going over a little bit because it wanted to have more than just more than one more teaspoon. Like I said, 3 teaspoons to a tablespoon. I need 1 more teaspoon, so I'm going a little over. Besides, I like garlic, and so we are done with that. Is there something else? Oh, the basil. If you're using dried basil, then you can put it into your crock pot as well. So that's what I'm going to do. It wants 2 tablespoons of dried basil. I just used my tablespoon with the garlic. So I'm going to dry this off totally before I get my dried garlic in here, because you don't want to put anything wet into your dry ingredients. Okay, so I need, oh, it says 2 tablespoons. That's what I said, right? So I am just dumping that right on in. 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, and that's all I need. And you will notice that the quantity needed if you're using fresh basil is a lot less. So that's doing its thing now. Now we will just do our fly right on back over to the onions. Drop things while I'm at it. All right. So you can see they're starting to get hot and starting to sizzle. So I'm going to stir that up a little bit just so that nothing burns on the bottom, but they're going to brown up pretty quick at this point. All right. I'm going to pause the video, and we can wait until this gets brown, and I'll show you that just as soon as it's done. It won't take too long. My onion is almost done, and I guess it took a little bit longer than just a minute or so. Sorry about that. So yeah, it takes a little bit of time. That's probably why I go ahead and start it first before chopping the rest of my vegetables. Okay, but I wanted to show you this last little thing. By using the pressure cooker, then you can add a cup of water, which is what I have right here, or you can make it into a bouillon and then add it. For instance, this happens to be beef bouillon cubes, and you add one of these cubes, after you take off the paper of course, into boiling water. Or I happen to have chicken bouillon right here, and it's granulated. And I think for this one it is, 1 teaspoon to a cup of water. But I am not going to use that today. What I am going to use is a vegetable bouillon. It really flavors a lot of things. It happens to be one that I made and froze, so it's the same kind of thing. 1 teaspoon to a cup of hot water, and so I'm just adding that little bit of bouillon to make it kind of flavorful. While and then I keep this in my freezer, so just a second, let me put it back there. While I also check my onion. Okay, let me show you. See, this is what I'm getting. Kind of brown at the bottom, which is just fine. My onion's starting to turn. Most of it's already turned kind of a light brown. I'm going to put it back on the stove for a little bit more because then I have to add my 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. So that is what I'm going to do right now. Just going to add that 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now what's going to happen though is this stuff is so thick that it's going to feel impossible to actually stir. You're wondering, what on earth? Why does it take so much effort? That's all right. Just stir it in. It globs for a little while, and then it stops globbing. Or you get sick of it globbing, and then you just put it in with the rest of the ratatouille ingredients. All right. There we go. That's doing, it's kind of starting to unglob, as it were. All right, I'm going to leave that for just a minute while I finish up telling you what's going on. Okay, you saw me put in the vegetable bouillon, so I'm going to stir that up. Before I do anything else, though, I want you to see this. It is piled high. And in a pressure cooker, that's probably not a very good idea to pile it high. So what I do is I've got 2 bamboo spoons. As long as you're using a heavy, this is coated, it's a Teflon coating, so you don't ever use a metal spoon on this. But if you have some heavy duty plastic spoons, you can just kind of go in and put some of what's on top down below, like all the spices. I'm going to get them down a little bit. I'm really obviously not doing this real intensely because everything will spill out. If I'm worried about, oh golly, there's too much to actually stir and I need to stir it, I'll just get a super big bowl and put the whole thing in there so then I can stir it around. But I think this will do. When I add the onion, I'm not too worried about that either. It'll go down as this pressure cooks. As it cooks, everything will get to where it needs to be, to the point where once it's all done cooking, you'll be able to stir it up nicely. Okay? So, I think I got that just right. I've got a little bit of basil right there, so I'm going to take that off so that the lid can fit down flat. I'm going to save this until I get my onion in, okay? And I'm going to do the onion right now. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to put the onion on top. Sorry that you can't see this. I am just pouring it from my pan. But you can also scoop it from your pan. You know, you can do this and just scoop away. Me, I just like tilting and pouring. Tilting and getting it into there. Very good. And the spatula's metal, so I'm not going to hit it right there to get rid of the rest of the stuff on top that's on it. No problem. Okay, good. Now I'm going to pour this on top. I gotta make my own sound effects, I guess. There we go. I'm gonna give it one more bit of a kind of a poke and stir. I don't know. A bit of mixing, not a lot of mixing, just because there's so much in here as it is. All right, I think we're good to go. Now I'm going to put the lid on. Once I get the lid on tight and it's ready to steam, ready to pressure cook, I should say, I am going to put it on steam. So I have to scoot this back just because of the reach of the cord. Okay, so I'm going to lock this into place. I always have to find where my locker part is. Lock that into place. Where is my... I didn't just dump it in there, did I? No. Well, I'm missing the top of this thing. So I hope I didn't put it inside. Just a second, let me find it. Okay, silly me. This piece had dropped into the bottom of my pressure cooker, and I didn't see it as I was dumping my stuff and my chopped vegetables in. So watch out, take note, make sure that's not on the bottom because you can't not use it. You have to have it. Okay, back to where we were. There we go. This one is in the closed position. Boom. Now I'm going to set it for steam. I'm pushing steam. I want to make sure it's on high pressure. And it's only for 5 minutes. Mine automatically goes to 10 minutes, so I'm scooting that down to 5 minutes. Now it's not going to take 5 minutes. First of all, it has to build up the pressure. And then, once all the pressure is built up, then it starts the countdown. Once it starts the countdown, don't leave it. You've got to get it depressurized and open, but you've got to depressurize safely. When this is ready, I will come back. Okay, the button has been pushed. Oh, now go clean up a little bit. I've done some of mine too already. Okay guys, here's the deal. It took about 20 minutes for this to get up to the right pressure before it started timing it. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes have passed. I mean, as in, you know, after it got up to full pressure. Now we've got to release the pressure. On mine, on my InstaPot, I got to do this. Okay? So all of that pressure is releasing. I should say my electric pressure cooker. It's not an InstaPot brand. Then, once all that pressure is released, then I can open the lid. If you don't go ahead and release that pressure and get your ratatouille out, then all of the squash that's in it, the eggplant, the zucchini, and all of that will be mush. It might be good, but I think I won't do that. Now, from past experience in making this particular recipe, I always end up having to add a little bit of salt and pepper, so I have that handy. And I also have some Parmesan cheese. Sometimes we sprinkle Parmesan cheese on top. Sometimes we don't put anything on top. Sometimes we have shredded mozzarella, and so sometimes we put that on top, so it's really good. You can hear the pressure starting to go down more and more and more. Oh, and I cleaned up my kitchen. Got all the dishes done, got the counters cleared off, except for what I'm about to use right now. Okay? Ooh, let's see if it's ready. Nope, still tight on there. Don't force it. And guys, dropping things. I used to use this pressure cooker. It had the pressure cooker lid for it. And to drop the pressure real fast, I just had to run cold water around the edges before I actually took off the lid. It's almost done. Oh, it is done. Okay. Now, I'm still being careful. This is hot. It's got a lot of steam. Steam is hot, okay? So when I put that to the unlock, I'm going to lift this lid away from me, as in I'm keeping this part between me and the steam. So I lift and kind of move it that way. Now I don't have all that steam in my face or on my arm. Either way, it'll hurt, okay, if I try to do that. Now, I hope you can see this. There we go. There it is. So what I'm going to do is just kind of stir it all up now. Now, my husband asked me about, is it really necessary to saute or fry up or whatever, soften the onions beforehand? You know what? Next time I make it, I'm going to just dump the onions in to see what happens. Because if I don't have to do the extra step, then maybe that would be fine. Okay, so that is all nice and stirred up. Now it's still nice and very hot too, so I have to be careful. I've got my plastic spoon, and I'm just going to dip some out for my husband and I. Well, for me and my husband, I should say. Not every me is supposed to be changed into an I. It's only if it fits. Just so you know, while I'm sitting here getting this stuff up and ready to go, you don't use I when it's the subject of the sentence. Me and my sister went to... No, wait, that would be a me. Yes, okay, hold on. Well, now I can't even think of it. Okay. My friend and I went to the store. If you can take I and use just you, if you're using my friend and I went to the store, I went to the store, see, it fits. Grandpa gave a ball to my brother and I. So if you take out my brother and if you take out my brother, I knew you guys wanted to know this while I'm sitting here adding a little bit of salt and pepper. My grandpa gave a ball to I. No, it's my grandpa gave a ball to me. So it would be me and my brother, not my brother and I. Just saying. Had to figure something to talk about, and I had just blown it when I said my husband and I. I'm getting bowls for my husband and I. No, it's my husband and me. Me and my husband. Okay, so I added some salt and pepper, as you might have seen. I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Just have to add the background. It's a new container of Parmesan cheese, which means it doesn't come out until I remove this. And of course, on video, it's going to be a problem. Okay. Yay. I've got a mess again. That's okay. Now sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay. And again, if you guys don't like Parmesan cheese, please don't bother putting it on. If you like mozzarella cheese, try it. If you don't want to put anything on until after you've tasted it to see what you like best, then do that. Anyway, guys, have a good day. See you next time.